Hi there, I'm Chris Devine, and this is my review of the Boss GT-1000 Core Multi-Effects Processor. Now, when you take a flagship product and streamline and consolidate it, the results in many cases are less than half the value. But Boss figured out how to do it and make a new axiom of less is equal by taking their GT-1000 multi-effects system and putting it to the size of one of their 500 series of pedals, and they're all the while maintaining all the options of its big brother. The front panel sports 3 rugged foot switches along with 5 parameter editing knobs, patch selector, and output level controls. The big display is very bright and super easy to see, and it sits next to a minimal editing control section. On the back, you have your stereo ins and outs with 2 effects send and return loops, as well as 1/8" MIDI connections, USB ports, as well as headphone outs and control outs, as well as expression outs on the side as well too, so you have some extra control on this unit. Now, what you can do with these extra loops is some pretty cool stuff. You can use them as aux ins or sub out connections, as well as using for a 4 cable method configurations of routing your time-based effects into your effects loop of your amp while running drives, EQs, and wah type effects in the front of your amp. If you want to do that, that's a really great way to go about it. However, if you are a player that can't give up your favorite vintage style fuzz or maybe some cool drive pedal, you can also use the 2 loops, patch in those pedals in there on your pedal board, and then make a preset where they will actually route to those pedals for whatever settings you want to do on the device. Now, the overall experience of plugging this in and playing through it was quite impressive. It has, like I said, everything in there. Any particular drive sound I wanted, I could get to it. It was fantastic. It was fantastic right from the get-go. Running dual amps at the same time, want to run a Marshall and a Vox at the same time with their own impulse responses. Yeah, you can do that, and you can have a wonderful experience of getting the sounds you want very quickly and very easily. Now, one thing I will talk about is getting the sounds simply and easily. It's a little difficult to edit just with this small screen. It can be done, it's not a big deal. I found using Boss's application on the computer, plugging it in and seeing all the parameters, all the functionality laid out in one shot, then rather than having to go into a preset, turn a knob, go back to another one and tweak back and forth. You can usually do that perfectly if you're like, let's say you want to tweak a reverb time live at a gig, or you want to take a little bit of delay out of your signal path and just maybe reduce the level of it. Not a big deal to do it on the fly with this control system. You don't need your laptop or your computer for something like that. But if you're really going to start and build sounds from the ground up, I just found it easier on the computer. It's not a big deal. I still was able to tweak stuff without having to go to the computer. It's just that method worked better for what I was doing at the time. Now, there are some other things I would like to mention. With the 3 buttons, you can maneuver through presets and patches as you need to, but you might want to look into getting one of Boss's FS7 foot switches. It's a foot switch that you can use in a bunch of different ways, but I would probably configure it on the side and use it to bank up and down in the particular presets and have these set up for particular sounds I'd use in a song, bank up, and I'd have ones for the next song. This is all going to depend upon the individual user's choices. It's just something I noticed right off the top, and it makes sense, but it is a solution. It's not a difficult one, and thankfully Boss does have a product that does play with this nicely. Now, I could go into all the nuances of how to set this up and configure it in whatever way that it could possibly be configured, but that would be a video that would be super long, and you can very easily just access the Boss manual for all the options and ways to do it. This can definitely be essentially a hub of your pedal board. Just essentially, as I said, got a couple of analog pedals you really like, patch them in, connect your amp up to it, have a bank switch so you can go maneuver, and you can press one button, it'll engage your amp's overdrive, shut off one of the other pedals on the outside, turn on a delay and an EQ. The next one, you can do the same type of thing where you turn the EQ to a different setting, engage a delay, maybe put a different pedal in line, turn off your amp's overdrive. It's got pretty much every bit of functionality and is essentially a mission control for your pedal board. And you know, as much as I said you can throw all this and make it all together, you can just grab and go with this, no problem. Just put it in your gig bag, bring a couple of cables, and you can bring this to the studio, and you should be able to do almost any session with this and be pleased with the sounds and not feel like you're lacking or you just bought this little thing and it's not gonna, oh, I brought that. No, you're gonna have everything in here, and it's gonna blow your mind when you connect it. So that's fantastic. Okay, for the pros and cons of this, I have to say this is very well thought out. It's got excellent sounds. There's plenty of options. It's pedal board friendly in the size and can be the hub of your entire pedal board. It can run everything. It's like the master control device of your entire pedal board and your rig if you really want to go that deep. So it's not a big deal. The cons, as I mentioned, you might want to look into getting one of the extra devices like the FS7 or maybe even the EV30 expression pedal to really go a little deeper into unlocking all the different parameters and functionality. So it's a really cool way to get a lot in a very, very, very small package. So very cool. The street price right now is about $6.99, and that is a lot of bang for the buck on that one. So I would say that if you're looking for a device that can basically replace a bunch of other pedals on your pedal board and be able to completely rethink the way you look at your rig, yeah, this is a whole new way of doing it, and it's not going to be a complete realigning of your life choices for this. So well worth checking out. I have to say, check out the Boss GT-1000 Core when you get a chance. Thanks.